Good evening, everyone. If you can hear me, please just type yes in the chat box. Thank you, Electro-D. Thank you. Thank you, Florence. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to today's webinar. I am Dr. Abby. So today I have a guest speaker with me. She's a keynote speaker with expertise in family law and immigration law. But before I go on to introduce her, I would want us to go through a bit of housekeeping on how we're going to run this webinar today. So the first thing is we would have a 20-30 minutes presentation where our guest speaker would be, sharing with us some current developments about immigration law and settlement routes for available to international community and some other information. After the presentation, we would be having a Q&A where you would have the opportunity to ask questions. We'll try as much as possible to, address a number of questions. However, I am very sure that we won't be able to take all the questions today. So as we progress in this webinar, we will be leaving our guest speaker's contact details, all her social media handles and her website. We'll be leaving it every 10 minutes in the chat box. So I want to encourage you to, copy the information just in case you might need it. This webinar is being recorded and you'll be able to access it on our YouTube channel. Just, for if you miss anything, you'll be able to go back to it. The handle will also be shared. Please use Dr. Abby as a code after this webinar. If you need a one-to-one, if you need to consultation with a guest speaker, maybe for family law, immigration issues, whatever it is, whatever your case might be, if you use that, I'm sure she'll be very happy to, give some certain level of discount and to you. So our speaker for today is Ms. Olaide Awogbile. She's popular and vastly sought after. She's a dual qualified lawyer with clients in the United Kingdom and overseas. She is a solicitor in the United Kingdom and equally a barrister and solicitor in Nigeria. Ms. Awogbile specializes in immigration law and family law matters. I would like to welcome Ms. Olaide to take the presentation. Thank you, ma.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Can you all hear me?
Let me unmute them.
Good afternoon.
Hi, can you all hear me?
Yeah, good afternoon.
Glad to have you.
Good afternoon.
All right, okay. So can I start now?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay. Would you be admitting them?
Yes, please.
Let's start waiting. All right. All right. So my name is Olaide Awogbile. Hello. All right. So my name is Olaide Awogbile, and today's seminar is immigration law. So I'm a barrister and solicitor of the Supreme Court of Nigeria, and I'm a practicing solicitor here in England and Wales. My areas of expertise are family law and immigration. But before I start, I want to thank God for this opportunity. I also want to thank Dr. Abby and her team, and I also want to thank you all for attending. So I'll read a short disclaimer. The information I'll be sharing during this legal seminar does not constitute legal advice in any form, as legal advice can only be given based on individual circumstances. The purpose of this seminar is to inform and enlighten and educate you on current rule under the immigration law. So today I'll be dealing with popular questions. The first one will be, what are the recent changes in immigration, facts and news? What are the alternatives to graduate visa post-study? How can I bring a family member and a non-family member to the UK? What I need to know about sponsors license and COS, the facts and pitfalls, visa extensions, renewals, that is popular problems and refusal, like working more than 20 hours during term time, unemployment, COS, sponsors license. Now, because I have 20 minutes, I'll try and rush through as much as possible. But if you need this slide, I'll make a copy available, or you can contact Dr. Abby. I'm happy for you to have the slides free. Please don't sell it, because most of the information are on the Home Office website or the guidance notes. So that's why I'm giving it out for free.
Thank you.
So now facts on news. Now, facts are well-established rules that we can find on the Home Office website, on the guidance notes, or in the immigration laws. Now, news are things that they've announced, but it's not been implemented yet. So now we start with the facts. So increase of visa fees from the 4th of October. There's been an increase in visa fees. Also, there's been some changes in the health and care visas, in which health and care workers will only be allowed to do 20 hours work. In the sense that in the past, what happened was that the 20 hours could be with another profession, but now the 20 hours has to be the same profession with the company that gave you the COS. Then there's also a genuineness requirement test. Now, there's something we call guidance notes here. Other than the information you read on the website, any additional information regarding any visa, you can find it in the guidance notes or in the immigration law. Now, for example, a very good example is if you want to bring your dependents, under the current rules, you must be earning 18,006. On the website, you would not find exceptions. But if you check the guidance notes, you will find the exceptions to if you're not earning up to 18,006. For example, if you're a registered it says I'm muted.
Okay, yeah. And
Okay, what was the last thing you guys heard? What was the last you heard?
We cannot find it on the Home Office.
Okay, so yes, so any information you cannot find on the Home Office website is usually in the guidance notes. So whatever visa you want to apply for, you need to always go through the guidance notes, especially if you think you do not meet the requirements, to check for the exceptions. Now, the difference between an average person and a solicitor is that we read the guidance notes and the immigration law to be able to look for exceptions to how to assist you. So that's why you have found that some people and some of you have been successful with your visa applications without using a solicitor, because some of you have read not only the information provided on the Home Office website, but you've also gone through the guidance notes. So now this genuineness requirements test had always been in the guidance notes, but for whatever reason, the Home Office now brought it to the main website. So it is new, but it is also not new. What it says is that when the Home Office thinks that the information being provided by the applicant is not genuine, they have a right to carry out what is called the genuineness requirement test. Like, for example, inviting you for interview, asking you for additional information. Do you understand? So that's what the genuineness requirements test is. But like I said before, it has always been in the guidance notes. They only just transferred it from the guidance notes into the main website. So change of visa names. There's been some visas that changed. They changed their names earlier this year, like the skilled worker. Before it was known as Tier 2. Investor visa Tier 1 is now known as Innovators Founders visa, and some other visas like that. Then increase in level of fines for hiring or permitting illegal immigrants. And from the start of 2024, the civil penalty for employers employing illegal immigrants is to triple to 45,000. It was previously 10,000 or something like that, but now they've increased it. And if you're a repetitive offender, it becomes £60,000. Now, another new thing that they've done is that it's not only for employers, landlords. If you permit illegal immigrants in your premises, you also pay a fine. And they've now added imprisonment as additional punishment now. So you could be sent to jail for 5 years plus to pay the fine if you are found guilty of employing or harboring someone that is an illegal immigrant. Another recent change was that the skilled worker, they've expanded the shortage occupation list, but now there's been an announcement that they're going to review that come spring next year. The EU settlement scheme, this does not really apply to some of you because I understand some of you are students. This was for those when we're part of the European Union. What the office is doing is that they're going to remove the requirement to apply for continuing immigration permission before the expiry of their pre-settled status. Then removal of the right of administrative review for EU settlements. That is, like I said, that does not apply to most of you because I understand most of you are students, but I only just put it there for information purposes. Then there's also been increase in the NHS surcharge fees from 16th of January is going to double from 624 to 1,035. Now, the global talent, there's been different amendments under the global talent, so it's something that you need to look into depending on your profession. Then earlier this year, there's been a change where students will not be able to switch unless they have completed their course. And the Home Office has also added that if your course starts from the 1st of January 2024, you will not be allowed to bring dependents only if you are a PhD student. Then also the introduction of the Innovators Founders route. This is for those seeking to establish innovative business. In the past, I'm sure a lot of you have heard about Entrepreneur Visa. So after Entrepreneur Visa, they changed it to Innovators Visa, another one. Then they deleted that one. Now it's now just Innovators Founders Visa. But the beauty about this Innovators Founders Visa is that they've removed the £50,000 requirements. However, they have now put approved businesses that can be considered under this visa. Then also we need some authorities to not authorities, you will need some regulatory bodies to give you permission as well. Then also the introduction of the new appendix for children. Now the Home Office just announced that. They put it on their website that they're going to introduce the new appendix for children. What it's going to be, we don't know. So what they're trying to say is that just like you have like a separate section for like health and care visa and all that, there is likely going to be one for children, but we don't know what that is going to be yet. Introduction of the ETA scheme, that's for those on a visiting visa. Introduction of the, I think I've gone too fast. Sorry about that. Okay, removal of NHS debt as a basis of refusing the ETA travel application. That is for those on a visiting visa. Then skilled workers visas, the rate is set to increase. That was the announcement they made before. They increased some of the rates, but now from spring this year, it's going to increase to 38,000. Then introduction of the new adult dependent relative. Let me just summarize what that jargon is because it's quite a lot. Under the current rule, well, before, if you want to bring in a dependent relative, say you want to bring in your parents or your adult family member, you need to be earning 18,006. You need to have indefinite leave to remain for them to be your dependents. You can invite them as a visitor, it's not a problem, but if you want them to be your dependents, you need to have a settled status or indefinite leave to remain. They're earning 18,006, which is going to increase now to 38,000. Then you need to show that there is nobody else that can take care of them except you. So what they've now said is that they have a right, once they grant your family member 2.5 years, then they will increase it to another, they will extend it by another 2.5 years under the 5 years route. After the 5 years, they will get indefinite leave to remain. What this is now saying is that they have a right to refuse to grant them indefinite leave to remain if and ask them to complete a longer qualifying period. For example, maybe they have outstanding NHS debts that they've not finished paying, or they've been involved in something like a sham marriage or something. So they have a right to refuse to grant them indefinite leave to remain, after the 5 years route. That's just the summary of what this is. Then changes in the long residence rules. Remember that I said that we have something called guidance notes. This has always been in the guidance note, but it was just transferred to the main website. So it is not new, but it's also new. It is new on the main Home Office website, but it's not new in the sense that it has always been in the guidance notes. Now in UK, there are two major routes for settlements in the UK, the 5 years route and the 10 years route. The 5 years route is 1 + 1 = 2. You meet all the requirements. They have no reason to refuse. They give you the visa. Now, the 10-year route is they believe you, but maybe some things or the other, do you get? That's why they now put you on a 10-year route, or your papers, there's something about it that does not make it 1 + 1. Maybe you were previously an illegal immigrant, or you did something. So they will now put you on a 10 years route. Now, the 10-year route is also good in the sense that if you have always been a student and you want your student years and your graduate years to count, it counts towards the 10 years route, but it does not count towards the 5 years route. So say, for instance, you started on a student visa, you did your master's 1 year, you did PhD another 3 years, making 4 years. Then you moved to post-study, you did 2 years on post-study, you got COS, you got married. When you got married, you became dependent. You move from different visa like that. As long as you have lived legally for 10 years in the UK, you are entitled to indefinite leave to remain. So facts, new visas, since last year, new visas have been introduced like Scale Up. I've touched briefly on the Innovators Founders Visa, but I'll talk more about the Scale Up later on. Then also there's been also some significant changes in skilled workers, and there will be more in spring. Spring starts from March next year. So there'll be more changes. So it's something that you have to be on the lookout for. Now, what we've observed, I'm not saying it's a rule, what we've observed in the United Kingdom is that the Home Office tends to change make new announcements in terms of immigration around April and March, April, and around August, September. So my advice is that you sign up for the Home Office fees, Home Office newsletters. So, and you keep monitoring it. If anything new is going to come up, it's going to likely be implemented around that period, which is a very good example of the announcement that was made some days ago, which they are looking at implementing around that March, April, which is spring. Then also combining different routes. This is a very good, one of the good things the Home Office has done. So earlier this year, the Home Office has, there's somebody waiting. The Home Office has included in the guidance notes, of course, not on the website, that you can combine different routes towards your 5-year settlement. Now, the Home Office has specified the visas. So it's not just any visas that you can combine towards your 5 years, because in the situation now is that if you move from one visa to another visa, you start the 5 years route again. But what the Home Office has now said is that rather than starting the 5 years route again, if you move from certain visas to certain visas, you don't have to start your 5 years route, you just continue. The one I can tell you at the top of my head that I have done is you start with Minister of Religion, 2.5 years. You can combine Minister of Religion and Health and Care visa. So if you decide to move from your Minister of Religion and you move to Health and Care visa, you don't need to start your 5 years route again. You just need 2.5 years and you get your indefinite leave to remain. So now these are the news Now, news are things that have been announced on TV or rumors, but there's no detailed guidance on either the Home Office website or the guidance notes or the immigration rules. It's something that is like a plan that has not been executed yet. The first one is the scrapping of the BRP cards. I'm sure some of you, your BRP expires by November next year. It is unclear what we're going to switch into. Some have said it's going to be e-visas. Some have said we're going back to how it used to be before, where they put visas in passports. But really, there is no detailed guidance regarding what is going to happen once the BRP cards phase out November next year. Because the BRP came as a result of us being part of the European Union. So now that we're no longer part of the European Union, they want to modernize things. So we don't really know. Different announcements have been made. It's going to be e-visa. Some are saying that they're going back. So we don't really know yet. It is news. Then the reintroduction of the point-based visa. There's been an announcement that they are going back to the point-based visa, but it is still news. There's nothing detailed. There's nothing detailed to say that this is going to happen. Do you understand? So then the minimum salary for the skilled worker will increase from 26,000 to 38,700. This was announced some days ago. Now, the Home Office has not given us detailed guidance on what would be the criteria, what will be exceptions. Then the minimum income requirements will rise from 18,600 to 38,700. A ban on care workers bringing their family dependents to the UK, which includes partners and children. Salary discounts for shortage occupation list to be scrapped, and the review of the graduate visas. Now, I'm just going to touch briefly on questions that people have been asking me these last few days since they made this announcement. Now, some people are of the opinion that, okay, since the minimum requirements for the family visa from 18,600 is increased from 18,600 to 38,700, for those that are already dependents of a British citizen or someone that has indefinite leave to remain, what will happen to them? Now, my view is that if you're already a dependent of a British citizen, this new rule would not apply because you are already under the old rules of the 18,006. But however, if you are getting married after the rules have been announced and there's detailed guidelines, then you have to come under this 38,700. People have also asked me, so what are the exceptions? Like under the current rules, if you don't earn 18,006, you can still apply for your dependents if you're a registered disabled. So if you're a registered disabled, you don't have to earn 18,006. If you have, I think, 64,000 pounds cash in your account, you don't have to earn 18,006. So are you speaking to me, Abby?
No.
The 20 minutes is here on.
No, please go on.
Okay. All right. So under the current rules, if you're registered disabled, you don't have to earn. Those are the exceptions to the 18,006. But what the exceptions is going to be once it becomes 38,700, we don't know. We're only going to find out next year when it is published in spring as announced by the Home Office Secretary. Now, the ban on bringing care workers for ban on care workers bringing family dependents in UK, which includes partners and children. I'm sure there will be exceptions, but there are no exceptions. He just announced it as news. Remember, I started off by saying news are just announcements or rumors, right? With no detailed guidance. So we can't really tell if there's going to be exceptions to when you can bring your family member, because some people are already panicking. What are those of them that already have dependents? What is going to happen to them at the point of renewals? We don't know yet until they give us detailed guidance regarding same. Then the salary discount, the 80%, that, there's a part that says you don't have to earn your full salary as long as you earn 80%. Now, some people said, okay, at the point of extending, since they've scrapped this, how would it apply to them? We still don't know because obviously it is still news. They've not given us detailed guidance. So until next year, when they release it as, the Home Office rules, then we'll be able to consider the guidance notes, consider what exceptions, how we can assist people, and if it would apply to extensions, which I genuinely doubt. Then the review of the graduate visa, some are saying they want to scrap it, some are saying they want to scrap COS. We don't know. Like I said, it's just news. There's no detailed guidance there. So we can only just hope that whatever the rules and the exceptions are going to be when they are published is going to be something favorable to everyone. So now, what is a graduate visa and alternatives to graduate visa? Now, this is the most popular question I get asked. Now, the reason why a lot of people don't want to go onto the graduate visa is that for whatever reason, people just assume that it does not count towards settlement. Now, your graduate visa counts towards your 10-year long residence route, but it doesn't count towards the 5 years. That's just the difference. I feel the graduate visa is a very good initiative, but when you speak to people, a typical example is a family of husband, wife, and 2 children. Their NHS fees plus home office fees is going to cost like almost £12,000. Now, some people have said there's no point in them paying £12,000 for something that will not count towards settlement. They will rather invest it in something that will help them in settling down on time. That is why some people don't like the graduate visa route. But however, there are some alternatives. So if you don't want to go on the graduate visa, number one alternative is that you could extend your student visa. Now, I came into the country in 2005. I came as a student. That time and well, before that time and around the time I came, what people used to do was that they would just keep deferring the admission. Once they live in UK, after a while, then they apply for indefinite leave to remain. But now there's been a cap on student visas. So this, I've listed the cap, the amount of time you can stay on a student visa, which leads me to a popular question. I have not finished, I've done my master's, but I've not finished my PhD, right? And I've already exhausted 8 years on student visa. What will I do? So if you need to complete your course, unfortunately, you need to look for another visa to complete your course. Once you've exhausted the 8-year cap, which includes your PhD, the Home Office will not grant you further student visa. So you may need to use another visa to finish your course. So now another thing you could do if you don't want to move on to the graduate visa is that you could move to a short-term work visa. And there are some other visas you can work with for a long-term work visas. Now, the short-term work visas, I need to clarify because it's a popular mistake made by our people. Now, the short-term work visas, my advice is that if your intention is to stay in the UK, avoid the short-term visas, all right? If you are confused and you don't know whether you should stay or you should not stay, still avoid the short-term visas because when you apply on a short-term visa, at the bottom or maybe the last page, you will click an undertaking that you have agreed to go back to your home country. So if after staying for like 1 or 2 years on these short-term work visas, and you now decide to stay in UK, unfortunately, there's nothing we can do. Even if we sue the Home Office, you have put yourself in that fix by saying you have agreed to go back. Do you understand? So if your plan is to go back, yes, you can consider them. Because we have some people, because not everybody that wants to stay in the UK. Some people just want work experience. If you want to have work experience or just chill out for some time before going back, then you can consider any of the short-term work visas. But if your plan is to stay in the long term, my advice is that you should stay away from it. If you are indecisive, please stay away from the short-term work visas. Now, there are other visas you could work with, but I'm only going to talk about, for now, I'm only going to talk about the ancestry visa because there's a lot of confusion with the ancestry visa. Now, the ancestry visa is when somebody in your lineage is a British citizen. So on that basis, the Home Office will give you leave to remain. Now, I always use myself as an example because that's the easiest example that we can use. So I am a British citizen. Like I said before, I arrived in the UK in 2005. as a student. Now I have a child, her name is Bimi. She's also a British citizen. Now I acquired my British citizenship by naturalization. I went from student visa to dependent visa. Then I got indefinite leave to remain, applied for naturalization. Then I applied for British passport. But my daughter was born here. So now our lineage, if I need to give, so I can't give anyone in our lineage ancestry visa because my citizenship was acquired by naturalization. But my daughter can give someone in our lineage a UK ancestry visa because her citizenship is by birth. So, which answers a popular question. But my grandmother is a British citizen. How did she acquire her British citizenship? Was it by birth or by naturalization? So, if it is by naturalization, there's a possibility that your UK ancestry visa application will not be successful. The spouse and the partner visa and all that, I'll still talk about those ones later if time permits. So now these are the long-term work visas that you can switch to if you don't want to switch into the graduate visa, the skilled workers, health and care, minister of religion, international sportsman visa. Now we all know, most of us know what the requirements are, and we know that the salary is going to increase to 38,700 by next year. But what I want to talk about regarding the skilled workers visa is how to get a skilled workers visa. Now, most people tell me they don't know because how can they get a skilled workers visa? They can't get COS and all those they can't get health and care job and things like that. The easiest way to get a visa on a skilled worker is to target the shortage occupation jobs. Now, I've listed the shortage occupation jobs I found on the Home Office website on this page and on the next. And you would see that it's something that sometimes you have transferable skills. For example, if you studied engineering, it might be some few certifications you may need to do to move to civil engineering or mechanical engineering or something in those lines. Now, these are also some other shortage occupation that I have listed. If you need this slide, like I said, I'm happy for the organizer to give it to you. And if I finish on time, I will upload it so you guys can have it as well. So then I also want to talk about job codes, which is a popular problem amongst our people. Now, sometimes some people, their employers like them, they have a good rapport with their employer. But when they check on the Home Office website, the job they are doing, they cannot find it listed with the job sort code. My advice is that just don't give up like that. Go through the job sort codes, check the job description. Look for the one that the job description is similar to the kind of job you do. Then, prayerfully go back to your HR and tell them that, okay, this is it. I'll use a very good example. That's the example I use most times of a client of mine. She was employed by NHS to be giving coronavirus injections. Now, if you check this list and the list for the subcodes, you will not find coronavirus injection job there. But if you check the job description, right, her role is similar to that of a healthcare assistant. So what she had to do was just to go back to the HR and say, yeah, it's true, we can't find anything coronavirus on the list. But if you look at the job description of the healthcare assistant, you will see that it's exactly the same thing I do, attending to patients, giving vaccination, taking instructions. And when they check, they realize it's similar rules. So what they just had to do was that they had to use the job subcode of a healthcare assistant to make the application for her so she could get the COS, if you understand what I mean. So when you check and you are like, I can't find my things there, don't just write yourself off. Try and go through the list, check the job description, do you understand? And, consider the job description and speak to your employers. Hopefully and prayerfully, they may consider you and give you that opportunity that you are seeking. So the healthcare visa, we all know about the healthcare visa. I'm not really going to go into that. Now, I've listed some shortage occupation in the health and care industry. Now, the reason why I put that here is that a lot of people that arrive from Nigeria, their mindset is that, oh, I'm coming for care job. It's only care job that is available. It's not only care job that is available, and it's not only care or support work that is available for health and care visa. These are the list of jobs that, and so more on the Home Office website that you can consider, do you understand, to be able to secure the health and care visa. Now, I have done successful applications for other professions in the health and care industry. I am aware that things like jobs like phlebotomist, that is those that do blood tests, and those that do X-ray, and those that support, people have told me it's different names. Some call it scrub nurses, some call it theater assistants. But let me just describe the role when, when we watch the movie, when the surgeon is carrying out surgery, there are some nurses that are there that say, pass me the knife, they give them the knife. Pass me the plaster, they give them the plaster. There's massive shortage for that. In a nutshell, what English people don't like doing is what you should target. And that's why a couple of you have been fortunate to get care work, because English people don't really like the care work. Now, this is just a disclaimer. I'm not saying there's anything bad in care work. If that is your calling, if that is what you want, that is fine. But there are some people that they don't want to do it. They want something else. I just want you to know that there are other professions in the medical line. And some people will be like, okay, I didn't study this at uni. How can I get it? The easiest way most people have been able to break into their career is to do professional certifications. Always speak to those in the industry. So, for instance, if it may seem a bit degrading, but this is what has worked for a lot of people, including the father of my child, is what I want to tell you. All those colleges and A-levels schools around where you live, they all do courses for almost every profession that you can think of in the UK, including banking, right? In order to get yourself, to give yourself that foot in the door, it may be worthwhile going to those colleges. Do you understand? And you do maybe all this level one something that will give you foot in the door. So once you get your foot in the door of the profession, because you're already a graduate, there is no how you will not pick it if you pay attention to it. But at least that gives you the opportunity. That's what most engineering guys do. There's the electrical, electronics. They go and do all those small certification for electricians. So all those big electrical companies will give them the opportunity. Because if not, you just realize that you're applying, they're refusing your application. And the ones that care to give you feedback, they will tell you that you are overqualified for the job. And really, you just want that job because you need the COS or you need a career, but you don't know you're shooting yourself in the leg by decorating yourself, because that's how we used to in Nigeria. We like to decorate our CV. I have masters in this, I have PhD in this. And it also happened to me as well. When I finished my master's, I was applying for roles, solicitor roles, legal as I couldn't get, until somebody told me to speak to a solicitor, a practicing solicitor in London. So the man now said, they send me your CV. Let me see this. How can you be looking for work, and you're outside London? You should get something. So when I sent him my CV, he said, that's why they are not employing you now. You put masters, you put LLB, you put this, you put that, you went to Unilag, you went to State University, you went to Hull. Your guy will be intimidated because they will be like, you want to come and take my job. Do you understand? You're overqualified for this role. He said, so what you need to do is that you need to first of all humble yourself. All those, I'm a barrister and solicitor of Supreme Court, you remove it from your CV. You remove your LLB, you will remove your masters, you remove all of that. Just put your work experience and just put that you studied law, your diploma degree, or you just put University of Hull and just put law. Do you understand? You don't need to tell them you have masters, you're a barrister. And as soon as I did that, I got my first paralegal job. I don't know anybody. Obviously, I'm black like you, so I don't have connection. Do you understand? So it's not like maybe like Nigeria that will have connection. So that was what I did. And a lot of people have done that as well. And they've been able to break into their career. So he said, so after a while, when you now qualify and you have the experience, then when you want to start competing at the senior level, you now put your masters, you put everything, which gives you an edge over others you are competing with. I hope what I'm saying makes sense.
It does.
All right, so I think I've gone a lot about that. Then I think is it okay if I change back to that old way, because I'm struggling to see some parts of the slides at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you all see? Can you just unmute them for a while? Can you all see what can you all
Yes,
see?
we can see, ma'am. We can
You
see.
can see. All right. Okay. So
Yes.
we continue. All right. So then there are some other long-term visas that you can switch to. Can you please mute everybody now? The senior specialist worker visa, the secondment, service supplier, all that are not, because of limited time. Scale-up visas. Now, the scale-up visas is very good for IT guys or IT ladies. The reason why it's very good is because IT guys have always had problems in the past. Because the nature of their job is that they get paid per day. Do you understand? So, and when they want to renew their visas, they have issues with the Home Office, things like you are not employed, you own your company, you are not supposed to own your company. So, and also for those they're like, you know what, this care or health and care is not my kind of thing. I want to have my own business, right? My recommendation is this scale-up visa that came out last year. The requirement is that the first 6 months you need to be employed, and you need to be earning 34,600. After 6 months, you can become self-employed. Do you understand? So it's something that if you want to be self-employed, or you have your own business, like you have all those IT guys, it's something that you could consider. So, minister of religion, for those of you that have the calling of God in your life, people ask me which churches, how would they know? The first thing is that you speak to your pastor, right? It's one of the easiest visas you can switch into. A lot of big churches have their sponsors license. Like I'm aware, Redeemed Christian Church of God has sponsors license. Christ Embassy, Winners Chapel. I don't know about mosque because I'm a Christian. Maybe those that are Muslims amongst us, if you speak to your imam, maybe they can help you. So there's Minister of Religion visa. Then international sportsman, that is not really popular, but obviously you need to be an elite sports person, and your sports governing body must endorse your application and all of that. So the Innovators Founders Visa, I've already talked briefly about that, in which the beauty about it is that the 15K has been removed, but you need to get an endorsing body to assess your business and that you meet their requirements. Then the global talent, for each profession, there's different requirements and different endorsements. So it's something that you need to look into. But however, a lot of IT guys are also considering that global talent, because there is one in which after 3 years, you can get your indefinite leave to remain. There's one in which after 5 years, you can get your indefinite leave to remain. So then the spouse or the partner visa. So under the current rules, like I said, is 18,006, but from next year, it's going to increase to 38,700. But however, with the recent JAPA thing, the Home Office made some slight amendments, in the sense that you need to show evidence that you have been married or you have been living together for 2 years. Before, during my time when I came for my master's, that wasn't a requirement. Do you understand? And it was what students usually do then. When they come in, before they finish, they marry a British citizen, they switch. but now you need to show evidence of being together for 2 years. Then also, there is a visa called the Parent of the British Child visa. Now, this visa is in my own opinion, if you ask me, the best visa category under the UK Home Office rules. It is the Parent of a British visa. The reason why I say it's the best is that there's no finance requirements. All you have to show is that you are the biological parents of that child. Now, and you also need to show that you are taking care of that child. Now, if you switch to this visa before your visa expires, you would go on a 5 years route, right? If you're an illegal immigrant, as long as you can prove that you are the biological parent and you are sorry, I'm trying not to choke. Let me, please come and get me
some water. Well done, ma. You're mute.
Sorry about that. So, if you're an illegal immigrant, right, as long as you can prove that you are the biological parent of the child and then you take care of the child, then you still be able to switch, but it's just that you now go on a 10-year route. Now, people ask me, how do I prove that I'm taking care of the child? You prove the easiest way is through child support agency or bank account. If you want to do cash at hand, right? My advice is that, thank you. Sorry about that. So if you want to do cash at hand, you can just get a book where you are giving the woman money or buying stuff. She would sign, you would date it, you will sign, she will sign as evidence of the fact that you are taking care of your child. Another thing you could do is buy court order. Now that is quite popular. Maybe after the woman has had your baby, she just refused contact. She doesn't want you to be involved in the child's life. If you take her to court, and you can establish that you are the biological father and you are taking care of the child and you're involved in the child's life, then the Home Office will give you leave to remain. It is important that it is recorded on the face of the order that number one, your child is a British citizen, and number two, you are having contact with your child, direct contact. There is, now I'm digressing to family law. There are different contacts with children. There's indirect contact and there's direct contact. Indirect contact is by way of letters, gifts, all right? If it is written on the court order that it is indirect contact, the court, the Home Office will not allow you to switch, especially if the guy is at the verge of facing deportation. The Home Office will say you can still have indirect contact from Nigeria. You can send your child emails, send her gifts or him gifts. So it is important to have direct contact with your child. So how can I bring a family member or non-family member to the UK? Now, there's something called fiancé visa. Now, in a nutshell, fiancé visa is if you want to bring your boyfriend or your girlfriend as your dependent. But these are still under the current rules. So obviously, it's going to change to 38,700, and they may even make some further amendments. So under the current rules, they will give her or him 6 months. Now, it sounds nice, but it is not really nice in the sense that they'll give that person 6 months, and once the person has exhausted the 6 months, then the person will be able to switch to 2.5 years on a 5 years route. The reason why I say it is not nice is that 6 months, they are not allowed to work. In clear terms, they are not contributing Jack Robinson. They are not paying bills. You are feeding them. You are housing them. They are not collecting benefits. So it's something that you need to think about carefully before considering switching, bringing somebody on a fiancé visa, right? But if you have a lot of money and you can accommodate them for that 6 months, yes, fine. But in the long term, the person will be able to switch to your 2.5 years as your dependent. Then spouse, I've talked about that earlier on. Then, okay, DNA tests. So I think I've talked about that as well. So parents, I've talked about that as well, in which that you need to show that they need you for their long-term care to do their everyday personal house and household tasks, right? And the person has to be 18 and over. So for non-family members, I'm going to say I have a cousin, I want to bring the person. Now, when we're under the EU, it was easy to bring people like that are non-direct family members. But now that we are no longer under the EU, it is a bit difficult. So the only thing you can do for that kind of person is to maybe be their sponsor or give them letter of invitation when they're applying for visiting visas, right? They may allow them to be your dependent in exceptional circumstances, but it is on very, very rare cases that would happen. Then what I need to know about sponsors license and certificate of sponsorship. Now, I'm just going to summarize this thing because this is a hot topic that sadly a lot of our people are going through a lot. Now, to a layman, which is most of you guys, the sponsor's license is what you need. But the sponsor's license application is in two parts. The actual sponsor's license itself and the COS. Now, the sponsor's license, most people qualify to get a sponsor's license because the requirement is that you must have a registered company, you must not have criminal records, and you must not, that is, you have never been refused an application for sponsor's license before. So that explains why you find a lot of companies that, online, they have sponsor's license, but you're wondering why they can't issue you COS. Now, to get a COS, that is dependent on the profits declared by the company. For instance, if the company made 100,000, right, and their profit is 5,000, if they apply for COS for a care worker, the application is going to be refused. That is why you see some people, they will be like, okay, my auntie has company, she has a sponsor's license, she applied for COS, the Home Office refused the application. It's because the profits she declared is not enough to pay your salary. So before getting yourself involved in any COS drama, you need to be sure that the profit that they declared the year before is enough to pay your salary. Another popular scenario is 100,000, there are 10 of you, they declared 50K as profit. Even though they like the 10 of you, they want to issue you COS, and they apply to the Home Office, realistically, it is likely to be 2 or even 1 that the Home Office will give them because the profits declared can only accommodate 2 people. Now, another popular situation is, okay, I came from Nigeria, the company that gave me COS, I got to UK, they did not have a job. What happened? Why didn't the Home Office verify? Now, what happened is that I'll use a very practical example. Say I have £100 million in my account. Dr. Abby has experience in care work and she can set up a care business, but she doesn't have the 100 million in her account. So Dr. Abby will come to me, Lady, what's up? You are my partner. I want to cash out on this health and care something. I need you to front for me. Do you understand? Because the Home Office, when they check my account, they will realize that you don't really have money. So, but with you have that 100 million. Do you understand? The Home Office will give us the COS. So what I will now do is that I will now partner with Dr. Abby, right? Don't forget that it is Dr. Abby that has the care experience. Me, I just have the money. Now, once I partner with her, automatically her name will come on my bank statements. Because the way it works is that when you're in partnership, the names of the directors will come, irrespective of when they joined the business. So it is now, don't forget that now her name is now on the bank statement, and we have now said, okay, me and her, we are doing the business together. So it is now my bank statement that Dr. Abby is going to use to make the application to the Home Office for sponsors license and COS. And the Home Office will say, of course, Since Lydia and Dr. Abby are in business and there's 100 million pounds in their account, and Abby needs 50 COS for 50 doctors, why not? They can conveniently pay that salary and they will give Abby 50 COS. Then Abby will go to Nigeria and go and sell the COS for, is it not 15K or something that they're selling it? Do you understand? And she will strike a deal with those that are coming that, see, I'm just bringing you legit to UK, but I don't have work. When I have work, I will give you. So that is how some people have found themselves in that mess. So when they come in, Abby will start hustling, looking for work for them. So she can comply. So her COS is not taken away. And her sponsor's license is not taken away from her. So that is just the background of how some people have found themselves in that situation. So now, the way forward, like, okay, I'm here. Do you understand? I have COS, but there's no job. So what should I do? My advice is that in line with the Home Office rules, you are entitled to work 20 hours with another employer. My advice is that you should speak to your employer and find out if they are willing to give you more than that 20 hours. If they are willing to give you more than that 20 hours, your salary, you will discuss with them that you want your salary to be paid to the agent that brought you from Nigeria. Now, if your salary is paid to the agent that comes from Nigeria, indirectly, you have like an agency agreement between your employer that gave you work, the agent that brought you from Nigeria. However, it comes with some cons. Some cons in the sense that people have come to me and they said they are paying tax 2 ways. They will pay with the person that gave them the actual work, and the person that brought them to will also take tax. Do you understand? Another con that comes with it, that is another sad thing that happens, is that when the one that gave you the job pays you, say, £20 per hour, and they pay it to your agent, your agent can't pay you £20 per hour. Your agent may pay you £13 or £15 or even minimum wage because they need to pay tax. It is better to have such arrangements than for you to go and just do more than the 20 hours with the employer. Because what will happen is that at the time of you applying for extension or indefinite leave to remain, the Home Office, I'm not saying they will, it is likely that they will check your bank statements, check your pay slips. If they realize that the person that brought you in is not the one that has been paying you, then there's a possibility that your application will be refused. Now, some people say it is not possible, but it has been possible with some people because it's not everybody that is familiar with the immigration rules. Some are not. Some will just, once they just see that you have your BRP cards, they are satisfied. Some will even check online. They will see, okay, she has a valid visa. They don't know anything about being tied to somebody that brought you in. So it has been successful. And sometimes you may just need to be honest and say, see, this is the situation I found myself. And some people, they don't mind. But some employers, big employers like local authorities and NHS, will not go into such agreements with your agents because in the past, not even only in the past, even among English people, there has been issues where some people have provided other bank accounts. Do you understand that they want them to pay into? Then it now becomes, oh, I never got my salary. Do you understand? Then when they go to court, why did you to pay into the salary that does not match the name of your employee? So that's why sometimes some of those places like NHS, and some of them, they actually know the immigration rules, but that is the only way around it. Some people have said things that maybe they will send money from Nigeria, pay the agent to pay them, but all that, I don't really know how it works, but I know it's something that could be managed. Do you understand? But please and please avoid working more than 20 hours with someone that you are not tied with. It may be convenient now, but there's no point if after working 5 years, you cannot get indefinite leave to remain because you work for somebody else rather than your employer. It is better than you get less Spending the time you sort yourself out. Another thing, because people tell me they never knew they could switch their sponsors likes and their COS. So if your new employer likes you so much, they can apply for another COS for you. Then you leave the one that brought you from Nigeria. So there are so many ways around it. That's why it's important to speak to a solicitor. I know some of you, like somebody told me, he said, oh, you charge £100 for consultation. That is my day's salary. Do you understand? But is it not going to save you stress? Do you understand? Fair enough, I'm saying it free now. But obviously, I don't do free work. Do you understand? So it is best to speak to a solicitor. They explore all the opportunities. They advise you correctly. So you plan yourself and you are sure of what you are doing. So the next one is visa extension. So working modern, I'm not going to go through everything. I'm going to talk about working more than 20 hours when school is in session. Now, a lot of people think the Home Office will not find out. The Home Office will find out. The Home Office finds out through your NI number. Now, some people will say, but my employer told the Home Office that I did not do more than 20 hours. Now, the way it works is that when you're applying for extension or you want to switch to another visa, the Home Office will carry out checks. They expect that if you are working 20 hours during school term and unlimited hours when school is not in session, you should be within a particular salary threshold. So they may say your salary should be between 12 to 20,000, depending on the salary you get, your hourly rate. Now, if that is the threshold and you now earn 100,000, the Home Office will know that you and your employer are telling lies. Do you understand? So that's one way the Home Office to find out that you have worked more than 20 hours. Now, a lot of people also tell me that I did cash at hand, and the Home Office said I worked more than 20 hours. But on record, my payslip does not show it. Now, the cash at hand, it is true that if you do cash at hand, it does not reflect on your NI. But it depends on the cash at hand that you do. Any cash at hand that your employer has your NI number, forget it. It is going to reflect because they are paying you cash out of convenience. Say, for instance, stadium, that's the most popular one. Working in the stadium or doing cleaning job for an agency, they pay you cash. They'll say, don't worry, it's not going to reflect. The truth is that they need to account for that money because if not, they're going to pay tax on it. Do you understand? So anybody that has your NI details, don't even attempt it. The cash at hand that you can get away with is anything that does not involve your NI number. Say you are home, you are making hair, you're a barber, cooking food. Do you understand? You're a childminder. Do you understand? They don't have your NI number. Even if you make £2 million, nobody will know. Do you get? So those are the cash at hand that will not reflect. But as long as it's with an agency or a company that has your NI number, it will reflect. Then I've talked about the COS issue. Okay, intentionally misleading Home Office. These are just popular. My time is long gone. Then consequences of breaking immigration rules. I only talk about the 10-year ban because that one is very popular amongst our people. A very popular one is, the popular ones are, is this your first passport? No. And people like, and the Home Office, I don't know how they find out, but I want to believe they share information with other passport companies. Do you understand? So, and then the Home Office will say, but you once had a passport. Why are you saying no? Another popular thing is, have you ever been refused for a visa before? Some people will lie, they will say no. Meanwhile, they've refused them in Turkey, they refused them in America. Once the Home Office finds out, right, it is a 10-year ban. The Home Office, I've been doing this business for almost 20 years. The Home Office has never waived that 10-year ban. It is better to have a refusal, do you understand, than to have a 10-year ban. A 10-year ban means even if you qualify for the visa, we are not giving you. All right? Another popular one is the building of the accounts. In Nigeria, we see it as helping each other. Somebody will help you put money in their account, you are building an account, but it is intentionally misleading the Home Office, right? my advice, and I still spoke to somebody 2 days ago, if you use a loan company or somebody puts money in your account and the Home Office is asking you for additional bank statement or asking you for more information about how you got that lump sum of money in your account, if you know somebody built that account for you, right? My advice is that just withdraw the application. Don't proceed, because you may think they don't know, you don't know the information the Home Office has. It is better you just write to them and tell them, I'm no longer proceeding with this application, and you withdraw the application. Then you now proceed and say, no, it is my money. I did this, I did that. Then the Home Office will now provide evidence to confirm that somebody put this money, or a loan company put this money in your account, which will now give you the 10-year ban. All right, that 10-year ban, please and please do everything. Ban. Like I said, a refusal is okay. Another popular one in UK is that, have you ever had criminal conviction? My advice is that you always say the truth. All right. The law says, as long as you have not been imprisoned more than 12 months, they can still give you visa. The only thing that will be affected is your British citizenship. It will take longer time for you to apply for the British citizenship, but they will still renew the visa. So rather than lying that, oh, I have never had any conviction, you're just putting yourself in a difficult situation. So for more information, these are my contact details, and you can reach me via Dr. Abby. And I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and you can reach me on my website as well. So I'll stop sharing.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That has covered a lot. Thank you. I have some questions already. There are quite a lot, but well, I'm sure we can just do the bits we can, and people can always, contact you for further assistance. There's someone here that said, it's quite a long one. Is it Pinnick? You know yourself if you just raise a hand. You said, I have a question and would appreciate assistance with visa processing. An individual who is a skilled worker in the health and social care sector is changing employers. Is the person here? They have applied for a visa and paid for the priority service. After 2 days, they received an email stating that the sponsor needed to complete something and that they would be contacted. However, it has been 2 weeks and the sponsor has not received any email from the Home Office. Both the applicant and the sponsor have made calls, but they have been told that they will be contacted. The issue is that the priority service was chosen because the applicant wishes to travel this December. What is the best way to get the Home Office to contact the sponsor? This is quite a long one.
All right, the best way to get the Home Office to comply is by making a complaint. So you go on the Home Office website and you look for complaints. I want to open it. Can I start sharing the screen again?
Yes, please.
All right, okay. Can you all see my screen? So you go to the Home Office complaint procedure, you send them this email, they tend to respond within 2 weeks. No matter what, they respond within 2 weeks. Because I think it's a separate department, then they now send it to the Home Office, they have their contacts there. The worst case scenario, they would tell you when they are going to respond. But this is what you need to do. It is out of the period. Is that okay? Just Google Home Office. Can you all see that?
Yes.
Yes, the complete procedure. So there's an email there, or you write them. So they would respond on your behalf.
Thank you.
Mm.
Chukwemeka, you have your hand up. Can you go on? Chukwemeka.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes,
we
we can hear you, sir.
Okay. Thank you, our solicitor lady. I just want to ask a question regarding the spousal visa, especially with as it concerns this recent development, right?
Yes.
So I and my fiance.
Let me stop you there. Because this is a public platform, can you not personalize it? Because I don't want you to now turn around and start suing me for breach of confidentiality.
Oh,
Meanwhile, you
okay.
are the one that has disclosed too much. You can say someone in a situation, can somebody
Okay.
with a wife, is that okay?
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Thank you. So two people that are about to get married.
Okay.
Here in the UK, right?
All right.
One already has a COS. She's currently working with an organization that has sponsored her.
Yeah.
While the partner is on a graduate visa.
Yeah.
I just want to understand what the process is like if the partner wants to transition into the dependent visa.
All right.
What?
Okay. So you said you just got married.
No. So
when did you get married?
The wedding is taking place next week.
Okay. Okay. So the person cannot be, either you or her cannot be each other's dependent until after 2 years.
Okay.
It's clearly stated on the Home Office website.
Okay. Oh, that's a long thing.
I know.
All right.
Then you can.
Thank you. Thank you.
Then before the next question, people ask me, especially those that are looking at moving, there are other countries, I don't do these other countries, but there are other countries that their visas, something is quite easier. Number one, New Zealand. That's where a lot of people are going to. Do you understand? Especially if you have older children that are over 18, and because that's another problem some people have. They'll be like, your child is over 18, they should qualify on their own rights. But we always try and show that the child has not formed independent life. Do you understand? So New Zealand, Canada, Ireland are looking for professionals. Some of them even give them 5 years straight away. So there are other countries that people could consider that are more lenient than the UK.
And then secondly, please, I hope I'm allowed to ask.
Yeah, so I would only, Dr. Abi, can we make it one question per person?
Per
If
person,
not,
exactly, because we have a lot of questions.
All right.
Yeah. Thank
do
you.
you want him to say the second one because he didn't know before we started, or what do you think?
Yeah, after this one, just one question per person, please. Go on, Chukwemeka.
It appears I've lost what I wanted to ask.
Drop it in the chat box then.
Okay, yeah, I will. Thank you.
Okay. All the best, Mr. Martin.
Can I just say
Thank
this?
You so much.
I've unmuted everyone, but please, if you are not speaking, can you remain mute? Otherwise, we won't hear ourselves clearly. Okay.
All right, okay. There are people raising up their hands.
Yeah. I'll just read one from here because it's been a while they dropped this. Is there any issue with family being on different visa sponsorship?
No.
No. Thank you. Does this new immigration law about dependent care worker affect people already in the UK from switching?
No.
Okay.
Well, it depends what the person means already in the UK. If the person is already a dependent, it does not affect them. If the person is planning to be a dependent, then it depending on when they switch, it may affect them. But like I said, he just gave a vague time. He said spring. spring starts, we go into spring
Yeah.
from end of March. The clock changes March and October, the last Sunday. So yes, we don't know.
Okay, can we have Obenson?
Okay.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, Mr. Benson.
Yeah, thanks for the information given to us. It's quite comprehensive.
All right.
I think I fall into a particular sort of category. I really cannot explain, kind of really be confused about that. So, I'm on a graduate route. Oh, someone is in a graduate route visa.
Yeah.
I work here. I earn significantly more than the threshold, and
Yeah.
I'm getting married to a partner.
Yes.
She's gotten definite leave here to stay here.
Okay.
She earns significantly less, not just a little bit less than the threshold given. And I'm gonna be depending on her. We're getting married in December. Will this law affect me, and how am I gonna position myself in such a way to?
Okay, so the thing is that, like I told you, we don't know what the guidance is going to be when it is released. Under the current rules, you could combine income. If you Google dependent visa guidance notes finances, if you are earning more than her, they've cited scenarios where you can combine income. Do you understand? But I'm sure they will have something like that when the new law comes in. So don't just rule yourself out. Like I said, any visa, always consider the guidance notes. That is where you will find the exceptions. Like for instance, on the Home Office website, you won't find that you can combine income. But in the guidance notes, it is stated there that you can combine income.
Oh, all right. And before I finish up with the question, the other thing is, will I have to wait 2 years before I can depend on her because she's
you have. Yes, you have to.
All right, okay.
But there are ways around it. I would say if you can have children, if you look in the guidance notes, you will see, there are some exceptions there as well. So.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome, and all the best.
Thanks, yeah.
I have a question here. Please, can your application for permanent residency be rejected if you do more than 20 hours a week in your second job, like agency shift, even if you've been working with your employer that gave you COS? Also, can I do more than 20 hours a week, but make sure I don't exceed 80 hours a month? Or
it all depends on the visa the person is on.
I think this person
because
is on,
that would apply to students, or if the person is on health and care doing another job with 20 hours. Now, I'm not a Home Office and I can't say there will be a refusal, but we've seen instances where people's visas have been curtailed because they've done more than 20 hours. Do you understand? So my advice is that if you have been doing it, just stop it and try and comply with the rules for now. Right? Because you've now put yourself at the discretion of the Home Office, not, complying with the rules. If you understand, yeah.
Okay. Can the main applicant with COS of 3 years switch to become a dependent for the next 2 years?
Yes, there's no rule. Under the current rules, there's nothing that stops them. The only thing that the Home Office did, I think November or October, was for the dependents of the students, right? So if they switch to become the main applicants, the students cannot switch until the student has finished their course.
Who defines a British child? Born in UK or born to someone who has British passport?
All right, okay. A British child is any child that was born either after you have your indefinite leave to remain, or one of the parents is a British citizen. Okay? So that's how a child can become a British citizen, or the child can qualify on their own rights after living here for 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
So the child will now qualify to become a British citizen. 10 years, 7 to 10 years, yeah.
Someone said, please, I didn't get the part about making a CV. without your qualifications, but the experience.
Okay. So now you don't have to do that. The fact that that's my success story. Do you understand? So everybody has their own success story. There are people that they just came, they decorated their CV with all their certifications and they got it. But I have realized that most times, especially with people of color, you having all those qualifications, some of them think we are overqualified for the role. So you try and apply the way you are. If you may even still get a job without removing it from your CV. But if you've been applying for professional jobs and you've not gotten the kind of jobs you want, number one, speak to those in your industry. Number two, pay for your CV to be done. I paid for my CV to be done, but then it was £10. Myself and the father of my child paid £10 in 2005, but it's about £100 now. Because what I understood from people we met here is that you're not the only one applying for that role. When you pay for your CV to be done, those people help you put keywords. So if 1,000 of you are applying for 2 jobs, right? Those people you pay for, they know keywords they will put in. So according to what I was told, the recruiters will now put those keywords in it to streamline it from 1,000 to 500. They will add another keyword. It will reduce it from 500 to 200. They'll put another keyword. It should reduce it to maybe 50, like that. So that's what people told us, and it really worked for us. Do you understand? It worked for me, but some people, they don't pay for their CVs to be done. It's all about favor of God. Oh, it's just practical advice. And if you are struggling to break into your career, like I said, the same amount you pay for all these care courses, £200, 100 and something, most of those certifications, they're around that amount. Do you understand? So it will give you the foot in the door. For example, investment banking. To break into investment banking, there is a course called IEQ. Right? So people that we met here, they advised the father of my child, do IAQ. IAQ is for those that just finished secondary school. He did level 1 and he got a job at Bank of New York, though he now got the job at back office. Then after some time, he did the level 2, he moved to the middle office. And that was how he broke into investment banking. And I also know some people like that as well. I have a client, he's into engineering. He was struggling to get engineering job. He went to all those uni, right? And not uni, all those colleges. He did all those level 1, electrician, something. And he got a job with a very good company. In fact, that company did not even have sponsor's license. Because they like him so much, right? They applied for sponsor's license. They got him COS. Do you understand? But if he had decorated his CV with, I am an engineer, I have masters, I have this in engineering, I don't think he would have gotten that job because he was trying for a while.
Thank you. For the person that talked about CV, we have a workshop coming up in January. It's called the Resume Clinic. Because I'm a recruiter, so yeah, it happens a lot. Not because people don't have the required skills, but you have, written your CV in such a way that it doesn't sell you. It doesn't bring out the strength in you. And in most cases, it goes in the bin. And thanks to technology, most of the CVs, go through screening keywords. And if you are not using the right keyword, forget it. You'll just be wondering why you've not been, getting invitation to interviews, or why you've not been landing yourself, the right job. So yeah, we've been sharing a link to our YouTube channel. The flyer for the webinar, Resume Clinic, will be shared sometime in January. So that's where you'll find it. Yeah, so this one, for the 10 years route, if one leaves the UK after master's for up to 1 year and comes back for a PhD, will that year of master's be counted? No, I
The
don't.
person left and wants to come back.
The person
No,
left
there's
for
been
a
a
year.
break.
A
No,
break of
there's
1
been a
year.
break. So you are starting again.
You started afresh. I think
Yeah.
it has to be 6 months minimum. I mean, maximum at a time, is it?
It all depends.
Yeah.
Let's just give it out. If there's been a break, you'll start again.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. Few more so we can go. Please, you said one can talk to HR if they can sponsor. What
Yes.
if they don't have COS?
If they don't have COS, then you may need to consider another place. Or like I normally tell people, you just tell them that you've spoken to a solicitor, they need a sponsor's license. We can advise them if you want. But the most important thing is that you need to find out that the profit they declared the year before, will it be enough to pay your salary? Because if not, it's going to be a waste. And I always take time to say that to people because it costs, the home office fees cost you money, and our fees too will cost you a lot of money. Do you understand? So there's no point in you paying that kind of money or your office paying that kind of money and the application is not successful. Then people will say, oh, is that solicitor? The solicitor does not know what she's doing. But it's not true. It's just that you didn't meet the requirements before making that application.
So 3 more questions, please. This one says, in an event where a family is on post-study and have spent 2 years, and one of them gets a COS on 3 years, can the dependent get indefinite leave to remain?
No.
5 years.
No. So if you've been 2 years on post-study, then you get COS. No. Remember that I said that your 5 years route starts, your graduate visa that is post-study does not count towards your 5 years route, but it counts towards your 10 years
10
long
years.
residence.
Okay. Thank you. What if you do an overtime already with your employer and then 20 hours with another employer?
You've still broken the law. The law says don't do more than 20 hours during school term. So 20 hours is quite clear. If you have been doing it, my advice is that you stop. Do you understand? And the reason why I say people should stop is because if you stop now, if it is true that they work with a threshold, say you were doing the overtime and then you are still within that threshold because you have stopped, then you won't have a problem. Do you understand? But if you continue and it push you beyond the threshold that the Home Office has set, then you'll be in serious trouble.
Thank you. Amarachi.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for this webinar. I've really learned a whole lot. Yeah, just a quick one is kind of an advice. I want to get your opinion. Considering the new announcement that's been made, and then I have a family back home in Nigeria that want to come in with the health and care skilled worker visa.
Yes.
Do you think it's still advisable for them to apply and come in before March?
Yes,
What
they
do
can
you
come
think?
in. As long as they come in before the rule comes to effect. Do you understand? They can come with their dependents. But once the rule has been announced or you apply after the date it should take effect, then I don't think they will qualify.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you so much.
You're welcome and all the best.
So the final question for tonight, what advice will you give to a family on school route that will graduate next September 2024 and intend getting COS on health?
Yeah. My advice is that, I don't know, this is personal to me. It's personal. My advice is that if the graduate visa is still available, go for the graduate visa. It gives you 2 years to be able to observe things and also gives you the opportunity to retrain if necessary. But like I started like I said, when I started, people don't really want to do the graduate visa because they feel that it slows them down. You know, in Nigeria, we like everything fast. Do you understand? My advice is that for a family on a student route, go on a graduate visa. Consider your options. If there is a need for you to retrain, for you to get a job that will give you a COS for free without having to pay for all those kind of things, that is my advice. But if you want to move to a work visa, as long as you are eligible for the work, they pay the appropriate salary, your employers have the sponsor's license, and they issue you a COS, there's no reason why you cannot switch. And also, you also need to be mindful of the new rules coming out because we all don't know what it is. We just have an idea, don't know what the detailed guidelines is going to be. So that's my advice.
Thank you so much, Ms. Olaide. Can I get someone in the audience to thank our guest for tonight? She has really impacted a lot in us tonight.
Hello, Olaide.
Hi.
My name is Chike Ezike.
Hi, Chike.
I am also a solicitor.
Hi.
Yes. I've been listening to you intently for well over an hour, and I'd like to say thank you very much. You were patient, you were clear, you took your time to go over all the points that you are aware would be on the minds of everyone. And you also ensure that you could make it relatable. Almost everyone, if not everybody who is on the call, is a Nigerian and would have come through this route or is still going through the process. You have given freely the knowledge and experience that you have, and we are all truly grateful. The slides have been another very good touch, and we're grateful for that. On behalf of everyone, thank you very much for your insights, your knowledge, and your patience and guidance. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Chike, for that. Thank you, everyone, for joining tonight. I hope you're going away with a lot. We've been dropping the contact of our guest speaker for tonight. I hope you have picked it at some point. We're still going to drop it finally now. Please pick it if you have not, because you might need support. You never know. So please keep it. And like I said, please use the code Dr. Abi when you contact her. I'm sure she'll be happy to give you a very big discount. really help you. Thank you so much, Barrister Olaide. Also, the webinar has been recorded. For those of you that joined late, or if you've missed any aspect and you would want to, go back to it, we are going to share it on our YouTube channel. We have also shared the handle. I hope you have picked it. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, our guest speaker. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
All right. Cheers. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye.